oops, sorry. How can you estimate products? You can use rounding to estimate. You could also use compatible numbers. So on this example, it's going to go over rounding. Over here, it's going to talk a little bit more about compatible numbers. Both are great. It does not matter to me which ones you use because you're going to be doing your own practice today, and then to get your badge, you're just doing a worksheet. So I want you to use whatever makes sense, keep it close, you can't go wrong, and it should be in your head. But if your test or something in the future asks you to round to the nearest 10 or asks you to round to the nearest 100, just make sure you're always following the direction. Okay, a store needs at least $15,000 in sales per month to make a profit. If the store is open every day in March and sales average $525 per day, will the store make a profit in March? So they included a calendar here of March because they wanted you to know that March has 31 days. So I could take my $525 in sales per day, that's my average, and I could round that to 500. I could take my 31 days in March and round it to 30. And now I'm just doing 30 times 500. They took the 3 and the 5 and made it black. Font, 3 times 5 is 15. I have 2 zeros and 1 0, so 3 zeros in my factors is going to equal 3 zeros in my product. Okay, you know that 3 times 5 is 15. So when I added my zeros on, it's $1,500. So because both numbers that were used to estimate were less than the actual numbers, 525 rounded to 500 and 31 rounded to 30. Because I rounded both numbers down, this is going to give me an underestimate. Underestimate. So the question before was, will they make a profit in March? Absolutely. Even when rounding down, if they make at least $500 a day, they are going to make their profit goal of $15,000. Okay, so the store will make a profit in March. I want you to convince me that you understand these ideas of rounding. So by doing this problem, however, since it is a should do, I'm going to go through and do this with you. If you want to pause it and try it on your own, hit pause now. Otherwise, stay with me. A different store needs to make at least $20,000 to make a profit in March. They average $685 a day for the month. James used rounding estimation to say that $685 is almost $700. And if I do 700 times 30, because of 31 days in March, I'm going to get $21,000. Okay? He says, I think it's going to be a close call. What do you think? So if I took my actual, in this problem, I rounded up quite a bit. So this 21,000 is an overestimate. Am I going to make $20,000 as my goal? I might not. It really is going to be a close call, okay? Because my numbers did change, but they went over. So I'd have to solve this one, get my calculator out, and check it out. But this one definitely is going to be a close call because I found an overestimate. All right, and the last thing before you move on to try to do some rounding on your own, I told you on this side, sorry, hopefully you're not getting car sick by moving the book so much. I told you on this one that we're going to use rounding, but I do love a good compatible number situation. Like I said, you don't have to use compatible numbers down here, but it is good to talk about and learn about because when we get to division, compatible numbers are very helpful. Okay, so 24 times 398. 25 and 4 are compatible numbers because their product is easy to compute mentally. Because 25 times 4 is 100. There are 4 quarters equal $1. It's just a good, basic, easy fact for us to memorize, which makes it a compatible number because you can compute it mentally. So I could use patterns like I learned in lesson 3.1 that if I add an extra 0 here, I'm going to add an extra 0 here, which means 1,000. 2 zeros, 2 extra zeros, 10,000. So 10,000 is a good estimate for 24 times 398, or in other words, 25 times 400, okay? But 24 rounded to 25 times 398 rounded to 400. And because I rounded both numbers up, both numbers used to estimate were greater than the actual numbers, it's going to be called an overestimate. Okay? So, rounding, compatible numbers, you get hopefully an idea of how to estimate on this one, and now it's time for guided practice. I probably won't run live lesson for this just because I'm working with kids who need to finish 3-1, but if you want to come over and ask for help, we can definitely do a few together, or maybe I'll just make a quick video or have a kid make a video, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully it's below.